Welcome to the Dreamit Dose. At Dreamit Ventures, we receive investor updates from startups quarterly, monthly, and sometimes even weekly. Often we shake our heads and comment, what are founders thinking? These updates usually don't contain information that enables us to get a quick, prioritized, and true grasp of how things are really going. If you want your investor updates to be powerful and helpful, you've got to get them right. Let's dive in. Dreamit Ventures has been investing in great early-stage startups for over a decade. The Dreamit Dose allows us to share best practices to help even more founders. Tell us about your great startup using the links below. First, let's talk about why you're sending investor updates. Before you send an update, I want you to take a moment and answer the following questions. What are your objectives of sending an update? When the investor finishes reading it, what do you want them to think, say, do, and ask? Your update is successful if one or two things happen. And what do you think will get investors the most excited? And what do you think they care about the least? Now, let's start by covering some of the most critical sections. The first thing I want you to do is BLUF. BLUF? No, not BLUF. BLUF! Hit the bottom line up front. I want you to start your investor update with a very short key summary of what's most important to your business. Instead of burying the lead, get to the point at the very top. So if the investor just reads the BLUF section, they have the essence of what's most important. Here's what to include in your BLUF, and ideally, this is in concise bullet form. Think about the metrics, the key performance indicators or KPIs that matter the most to your business. What are the top indicators that demonstrate if things are going well or poorly? So I suggest you start with the most important places where you met or exceeded your KPIs, the highlights. Then hit the most critical KPIs where you underperformed, the lowlights. So not just the positives, but the negatives too. And make sure to be quantitative here. Investors want to see numbers and be able to measure how things are going. When you list your key highlights and lowlights, ensure they are in priority order. Think about what your investors, board members, advisors, the people reading this, care about the most. If you're an early stage company, let's say seed or Series A, do you really think the most important thing your audience cares about is that you won a pitch competition? Or you're a best place to work? Or an article was published about you? My guess, probably not. Yet time and again we see updates where these are the first things mentioned. The CEO will start the update with, "We're so excited to announce." Stop. Just stop. It's okay to be excited about these things, but you need to know where to highlight wins like this. It's not a headline item. So what should be in your BLUF? Well, what's your current revenue and or customer user growth? How's that trending? Are you on plan or behind? Have there been any significant changes that have caused growth or a slowdown? Significant new product developments? Big R&D items to report? Important changes to the team? Have there been hires, fires, or resignations? Are you meeting the goals for your next critical milestone or fundraise? How much cash do you have on hand? What's your runway? What's your monthly burn rate? When do you expect to raise next or get to cash flow break even? Remember, in all of the above, you're hitting only the items that are tied to your KPIs in priority order, starting from the most crucial to your business. Okay, now that we've gotten BLUF out of the way, let's get into putting some meat on the bone. But not too much, let's keep it a lean cut of meat. So your next section expands your BLUF points, adding light commentary. What does this commentary look like? It's a few tightly worded sentences about key items worthy of explanation. This is your chance to talk to investors and explain concisely your views on what's happening, good or bad. While mentioning good or bad, let me be clear that your investor update is not only a happiness report. A really important thing to keep in mind is to always be honest and transparent with both good and bad news. This way, the people around you trust they're always well informed and know where you're hitting rough spots and could use a hand. Now, let me go deeper into covering your financials, revenue, and traction. It's important to be very careful, accurate, and prioritized here and not BS your audience. Sometimes we see founders really play with how they're reporting revenue or key numbers. They'll mix ARR and services revenue together. They'll talk about gross merchandise value, GMV, but not be clear when they're only capturing a small percentage of it. Or for example, they're selling a device that has a razors and blades model, but they'll just talk about the total amount sold last month without breaking it out. Or maybe there's been a huge upswing in a key metric. For example, revenue, app downloads, user signups, but they don't disclose the corresponding unusually large spend that made that happen. So founders parade out great metrics, but deliberately omit key information as to what's really happening behind the scenes. Bottom line, don't obfuscate. Why? Investors will eventually pick up on it, and instead of your update helping, it could actually cause you to lose credibility. So, what are some of the other common mistakes we see? Many updates are just too long. An investor update for most early stage companies should really be only one page, not 2 to 3. If it's not too long, it's often too frequent. I've been getting weekly updates from some founders. In my opinion, that's way too frequent unless this is a wildly critical time and something extremely important is going on. For example, a highly active M&A process. Otherwise, I think you should be sending monthly or quarterly updates at most. The other thing I've seen very tech-oriented founders do is send a weekly snapshot of dev progress, literally what software commits have happened this week and new functionality added. For 90% of investors, I think weekly product development updates are overkill. Look, you just don't want to overload your audience. Everyone has limited bandwidth. Don't consume your investors' attention by over-updating them. The last item I want to touch on are your asks. In your BLUF or expanded area, include the 2 or 3 key areas where you could use investor help. These could be around customers you're selling to. Do investors know people there? Key hires you're trying to make. Legal, financial, marketing, PR, or press connections you're looking for. Investor intros you want. There's so many areas where those who have a vested interest in your success can help. You just need to make the ask. Okay, that's how you deliver an awesome, tight, focused investor update that delivers epic results. First, create your litmus test for what makes a great investor update, and then apply it. Second, BLUF. Tie your BLUF to critical KPIs. Deliver this in priority order. Third, expand your KPIs with short discussions on key items. Fourth, be accurate and transparent when you report your revenue, financials, and traction. Fifth, please don't over-communicate. And finally, sixth, include your prioritized asks. That's it. That's your Dreamit dose. Please leave your questions in the comments section. If you found this video valuable, please like and subscribe. We have a lot more coming. To see all of our doses, go to dreamit.com/dose. See you next time. It's okay to be excited about things like this. Yet time and again, we see updates with these things. The CEO will start the update with, don't consume your investors' attention by overlooking them.